everyone, today I'm here to do a book review for you. It's not even going to be just a book review, I'm talking about a whole trilogy, people, which is exciting. So we're talking about the Young Elites trilogy. These are all written by Marie Lu, and the trilogy comprises of the Young Elites, the Rose Society, and the Midnight Star. So I'm going to talk about all of these, and this will be a spoiler-free review. I'm just going to tell you what this trilogy is about, what I thought about it, and if I think it would be right for you. I want to try to keep it spoiler-free as possible to see if you would like to read it and stuff like that. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on into it. This trilogy follows several people's point of view. I would say the main person that is involved with this trilogy is Adelina. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I apologize. The other point of views we follow in this series are Enzo and Raphael and Taryn, as well as some other side characters, but mostly I would say the series follows Adelina. All of these characters that I mentioned were survivors of a blood fever which swept the nation a decade ago. Most of the infected died, but the children that were left and survived were left with strange markings. Sometimes it would be along their back, sometimes it would be their arm. In Adelina's case, the blood fever infected her eye and they had to take her eye out, so she just has a scar right along her left eye, which where her eye used to be. When people have these markings, they are often called ghetto. I'm going to butcher a lot of these pronunciations and I apologize, but they are often called mulattoes, or like an abomination. They are not looked greatly upon. They are often frowned upon. Some of the fever survivors, especially the people in this book, are rumored to have mysterious and powerful gifts, which is basically what all these characters are about. These people with these powers, a lot of people call them the Young Elites, or an elite. That's what they call them. Then we follow a group of elites who are in the society called the Dagger Society. And the Dagger Society's main objective is to try to take back the throne, because the person that is ruling the throne right now really does not like the elites, really does not like any people, mulattoes. They just really don't like any abomination. So they are trying to take back the throne and try to put the rightful heir on said throne. Our main character, like I said, is Adelina. We follow her point of view most frequently. And she is a character that really struggles with darkness. So this is a very different trilogy in the aspect where a lot of trilogies and series you read, you have a girl that comes into these powers and she becomes a hero and she does the right things. This is not said trilogy. This is a very different trilogy where the main character struggles with darkness and gives into her darkness frequently, and she's okay with the darkness that's within her. So this is a not save the day type of trilogy. This is a villain side of the story, quite honestly, and that makes it very, very interesting. So like I said, we're not following a hero in this trilogy. We are following the villain and her side of things. My favorite aspect of this whole trilogy is the fact that we are following a villain. Like I said, I have read so many countless series, and they're all amazing series, not gonna be wrong, about a hero and about a girl that has these powers and is doing the right thing. And I do love those stories, but I love this one for the fact that our main character is not a very good person. She is very dark. She is very twisted. She has these whispers in her head that tells her to do dark things. She gives into the darkness a lot, and she is rather okay with it. So I really enjoyed reading like the villain's perspective. I thought it was a nice shake up from your usual series and trilogies and things like that. I did really enjoy Adelina as a character. Again, I liked seeing her struggle with her darkness. I could tell it was a constant struggle. Sometimes she was very okay with her darkness. Sometimes I could tell she was trying to push it away, but the darkness was just eating at her. The whispers in the voice, the whispers in her head would just eat at her, and it was very, very interesting to see her point of view through all this. If she was doing something straight up evil, she was like, I'm evil and I'm okay with that, and that is great. And sometimes when she was doing evil things, you could tell she was very hesitant and very not okay with doing so. So this whole trilogy is a very, very internal struggle with good versus badness inside your soul. I also enjoyed the other characters as well. Like I said, this does take place primarily from Adelina's point of view, but we did get a lot of mixture of other characters. I felt like this series is like the perfect mixture of like fantasy meets X-Men, because you have all these people with these amazing powers and they have these such cool names like the Windwalker, the Architect, the Star Thief. They have all these amazing names, which I just loved about, and I loved seeing their different powers. So it was definitely had that X-Men vibe to it. So I loved all the supporting characters. I thought they were great. The series is also very diverse, showcasing different ethnicities as well as different sexual orientations, which is always a very good thing to read about. Diversity is a very important thing. But I love all the characters. I love Raph. I love Maggio, Violetta. I love them all. They're all super amazing. I think every character in this book definitely had a strength in their own way. I will say the one qualm I have about this trilogy is that the world building is not the best, especially with the first book. I felt like it was a lot to get into, and even after finishing the first book, I felt like the world could have been built more upon. We could have learned more about it. That does enhance with books 2 and 3, but I still felt the world building was a little lackluster, and I felt like it could have been a little bit more explained and more in depth, but they do go into it more in detail in books 2 and 3, but I just wanted a little bit more world building. As far as my ratings go for this trilogy, I gave The Young Elites 3.5 out of 5, gave The Rose Society a 4.5 out of 5, gave The Midnight Star like 4.75 out of 5, so it's clear to say the last book was my favorite in this trilogy. I highly loved it, and I really loved The Rose Society as well. I would say my least favorite would have to be the first book, which is usually surprising. So a lot of first books, you have a lot of world building to get to. You have to lay the basis for your story down, and I felt like this was that for the first book, but I felt like it could have been done a little bit better in terms of laying the groundwork down. If you're hesitant and you have read this first book and you're wondering if you should finish with the trilogy, I would highly recommend it, because let me tell you, the second and third books are full of action and adventure and just get so much more in depth and so much more inner turmoil with the main characters and the darkness within them. I would highly recommend. So a lot of people I've seen reviews did not like the first book as much, and I'm kind of there with them. It was an okay book for me, but I really think I love this trilogy as much as I did because the second and third book really enhanced it and really was much more better than the first one. So if you're struggling whether or not to finish it, I would highly recommend you do, because I think it gets a ton better. And as far as The Midnight Star for our last book, I really loved how it ended. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I felt like it came to a conclusion perfectly. I was happy with the way it ended. It just felt well-rounded, because sometimes with series and trilogies, they're left open-ended and you're quite questioning things. This one, I felt like it maybe had a tinge of open-endedness, but I still felt like it concluded amazingly, and I was very, very happy with the ending, and I was happy with all of the characters' depth and story arcs and how they all came to a close, and they came to a close nicely. Overall, if you're looking for something a little bit different, something a little bit darker than your usual trilogies and series and stuff like that, I would highly recommend The Young Elites. It is a darker, grittier trilogy where you're following the villain and their side of things, and her bloodthirstiness and how she gives into these whispers, and it's just an awesome series, and I highly recommend it. So again, if you're struggling with whether or not to continue on with the series because you didn't love The Young Elites, I highly recommend it. The Rose Society and The Midnight Star were both amazing books, my favorite by far in the trilogy. I hope you guys enjoyed that spoiler-free review of The Young Elites trilogy, and if you have read this trilogy, please let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Which one was your favorite book? What was your least favorite book? Who was your favorite character? Did you like how it was kind of darker and grittier than your usual series? Please share your thoughts and opinions down below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.